Good morning, everybody. John Spielka here for GAI Insights. So we're going to do the GAI news this morning. We have some interesting stuff, everything from NTT, investing in brain science, all the way through Hugging Face's new a new benchmark list on Hugging Face to help you with multi-prompt problems with LLMs. So today we're going to start off with Dave. We don't have Onkaj today, so David's going to do the introduction of the different articles, and then we will have our analysts go at it. All right.
Yes, I will try to fill in his big shoes as best as I can.
All right, we get the Verge up front.
Right.
First article.
All right, we've got the Weather Channel that's going to be offering the ability to local weather folks to basically create all the graphics for their hyper-local weather reports very easily with generative AI. What did we think about this one, John?
I thought it was important. I think it's not just the graphics, but also the hosts. So they're going to do full avatar hosts on this. And so the reason I think it's important is that surprisingly, a ton of people watch the Weather Channel. And we used to teach a case on it at Harvard Business School. It is simply a cash machine. I mean, well, you can imagine, right? It's like the first reality TV when you think of it that way. I mean, it's just somebody put on the weather the whole time. Anyway, they're going to put hosts in, and I think that it's an important article because this is going to be one of the first places where you have at scale substitution of avatars for human to a retail audience. I believe, at least in the Western world, and certainly in English. Languages that the Weather Channel puts it in. So I would put it as important as a good, easy way for folks to stretch their imagination about what's coming right around the corner.
All right, I missed the part about the avatars. Did you pull that from a different article? Where did you find that?
No, I thought it was in there. Maybe I misread it here. Says
they seem to be emphasizing we are just giving the folks tools to be able to make their graphics.
Well, even lets users add an AI voice that can sound like a local meteorologist.
Oh, so they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They have a lot of language in here that says, we're just trying to help. We're just trying to help the local forecaster.
David, are you making a claim that John's making up data to support his rating?
This is training data. This is training data that I'm creating.
Oh, synthetic data or synthetic rating.
I'm not a morning person, and I did read the articles this morning as opposed to last night. So I deferred to John, but I totally...
No, you're right. It's not a full avatar. It's just a voice avatar. True enough.
Okay, just a voice. Okay, yep. So not a complete image.
So I will take it down to optional with that. Sorry for my error.
I mean, but it will be I'll be curious to see if that happens, right? I mean, I could totally see them being online, as a source, but would they ever end up on your local cable show? We have a hyper local channel called News 12 here that's just for Fairfield County. And they literally, they spin the news every 12 minutes. It's the same reel over and over again. And the people change constantly because these people are probably making peanuts, right? Like we have 10 weather people that rotate through. So you could see smaller channels like that potentially going forward with using an avatar someday. So it'll be interesting to see. So we have an important, any other thoughts here or?
I was optional as usual. For our audience, I think it might be an interesting case, but it's not there yet, really. They're announcing that they are experimenting with it, but it's not yet out there per se. So with our rule, I would say optional.
And we have to change this rule though, because every announcement now everyone wants to announce before it's even there. And then when it actually comes out, I'm not sure we actually get another announcement when it's in work. So we may have to talk about that.
that is
we're going to get there with NTT. All right. So we're going to go optional on this one. Next, David.
All right. So next we have robots. So we've got car manufacturers. Again, it's Mercedes and BMW and one other manufacturer that seem to be in the news on this a lot. They are also customers of Figure 01 and a few others. So they're basically committing to a pilot with another humanoid robot here. This one is Sanctuary AI's humanoid, which stands at 5'7" and has real legs, despite the fact that they continue to clip the pictures to only show the first half of the body, which was noted by this journalist, which made me chuckle a little bit. Luda, what did you think?
It's an interesting article. It just says that car manufacturers are interested in robotics and certainly are willing to try for the benefit. So this is about the manufacturing company Magna that invested in Sanctuary AI. They're based in Canada and they manufacture in Austria for Mercedes, Jaguar, and BMW. So this is an announcement that they will try the robots, and I just think it's optional. Actually, it's not yet there, but the trend is certainly there that they're very willing to put those pilots together and work with not only this particular company but other robot producing companies. So that's an important movement. But I think the article is optional.
All right. Any votes otherwise?
Paul, you there? What do you say? Optional?
Yeah, I'm on the optional camp.
Yeah, me too. I mean, interesting robot. It's really changes. It tells you how fast this field is moving. If we did this a year ago and had this incredible humanoid robot, I think it's like, yeah, just another.
Well, and John, that's why this year feels like, the experimentation, early pilot phase. And I think a year from now, you can see a lot more in moving to production, smaller use cases.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
I remember we were talking about robots and we were very skeptical that this will go into production. It is going into production through a pilot, of course, but it is going into production very quickly too.
Yeah,
So
very much so.
interesting trend for sure.
All righty. So we're going to give this baby an optional next. David.
All right. Next, we have. I won't be able to hear myself think. We have OpenAI, who has released I would call it a framework, I suppose, to help and actually data and I think some other tools to help institutions assess how good their models are at kind of spatial reasoning and basically functions that would be helpful to have for a robot to be able to function well. As you'll see in this video, they assessed several models on how they do on this front already, and I'll scroll to that graphic in a moment. And spoiler alert: GPT-4, the most recent one, does better than any others, but still has a big gap between humans. So they're releasing this, hoping that this will kind of spur research in this area. What do we think about this, Paul?
I rate it as important. I mean, I think this has been a challenging area for decades on visualization turning into thing. But I think when you start thinking about the applications in the industrial side for inventory management, for understanding safety, for security, I think this should at least be on the AI leaders' radar screen, if not early pilots this year and capital quest for next year.
Yeah, I put it as important as well for that reason. I mean, it's it's a benchmark, okay, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see for all the reasons that Paul just said. Like let's say you're running a factory and you have to worry about reliability of the robots, OSHA, OSHA, I forget what OSHA stands for, but all the labor protections and so forth. You're going to have to start leaning on something to evaluate those things.
Well, guys, I was thinking actually, let me try to make a case for essential.
Whoa!
So far from being deployed. What happened to the Luda?
I'm going to Spain, so maybe I'm going to vacation. Maybe that's it. But see, I think it's a challenging area. It's an open platform, and it allows to to actually capture the environment and then put it into cognition of the LLM, right? So this is critically important for so many things. And so if you are an AI leader working on a particular application where that is important, that, as I said, in many cases, it is important, it is good to know. It is essential to know, to start developing, to differentiate yourself. So even though it's a start, I think it is quite, I mean, it's higher than important in terms of knowledge.
All righty. Well, there we are. We're sitting here, we've been really stingy with the essentials this week. So let's live large, give this baby an essential. Actually have to go read something of substance if you're an AI leader. All right. So we're going to give this one an essential. Made the case, Luda. Here we go. All right. Next.
All right. Our next article is about a patent that has been uncovered where Microsoft is working on sound recognition technology, as this interesting drawing, which is from the patent itself, demonstrates. They are thinking it could be used in instances such as helping people understand when maybe an emergency is happening. It picks up the sound of a siren or something of that nature. So portends some new functionality perhaps coming from Microsoft. What do we think about this one, John?
So David, you're on the hook for this one. What do you think?
I'm on the hook for this one. I mean, it's a patent. We have no idea where they are with this. So I'm going to go optional for the moment and say, like, let's see where this takes us. It's interesting. I guess I kind of thought that this capability was already possible. And to some degree, when I read it, it looked like there is some level of this that's possible today, but they're patenting, I guess, a further technique that helps separate out the background noise better.
Yes.
Because that's the problem with some of the tools today. So, I mean, it's interesting, and I'm kudos to Ankaj for unearthing this somewhere. This is an unusual source, but I would go optional on this one.
Yeah, Paul, Luda, what do you say?
Well, it's the same case I made for the prior article. See, it's in so many applications, really. Seriously, if we are using AI for our eyes and ears, this is an essential part of the environment. And we're not very good at it. And I'm sure there is more patents to come in this area. So it's not about the patent, but it's about the capability that is starting to enhance the LLMs, right? And so I would put it at least important, if not essential. Again, not about the patent, but about the capabilities that are becoming available.
Paul, where are you on this?
I will actually support Luda on important. I think AI as our ears is a category that's been under discussed, and I agree it's a whole lane of new applications. And other than Shazam for understanding what music's playing, which is most people's understanding of AI ears, this is a whole other step in that direction.
Yeah, imagine a robot or just a sensor sitting in your room and being able to talk to you and recognize the noises in the background, separated, see things, just create vision, create images on the wall for you. I mean, the two capabilities have to come to three capabilities have to come together to enable that, and that is happening. And then that's transferred to manufacturing floor, warehousing floor, delivery trucks. I mean, you name it.
Well, and on the sensing side, think of manufacturing lines, goes to discrete manufacturing, listening for sounds that are anomalous sounds, scraping, breaking, hissing.
Yeah, yelling,
screaming, pain.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, all right. So you guys are making the case for important or essential?
Important for me.
I'm a little concerned about the patent thing because I haven't read the patent. I don't know how much they covered and how much is left, but that's why I'm going important. Otherwise, I would have gone essential.
Yeah, all righty. I think I'm going to come down on important. I completely agree that sound is going to be a massive source. Sound, voice, the whole routine, and going to add dimensions to our analysis that we haven't seen before. But let's land on important. And next article, please, David.
All right. Next, we have yet more benchmarks. My head is spinning from all these benchmarks that keep being created. I wish we could get some standardization across these. So this set of researchers has evaluated a bunch of our well-known LLMs on a benchmark that they have created, which they call Ruler. And it's meant to assess how good these LLMs really are in terms of utilizing the context windows that they're claimed to have. And they found that they're not as good as they claim. So yes, you may have 128,000 context window, but the fidelity of the answers starts to decline greatly, and it doesn't actually seem to hold up that it's able to utilize that context window. And that was across every LLM that they evaluated. They said kind of 32,000 was around the area where most of them start to fail a little bit. So interesting output. What do we think about this one?
Yeah, Luda, where are you on this?
Yeah, I put it as optional. Thank you, David, for putting a good summary together for this. It's just, I think this is a progress, a good metric, and I love metrics. A good metric is useful to start to push this on this particular angle forward. Interestingly, the Chinese, what is it, A01 company that put out this Y32B model that was compared here, that they said that this held in the 32K window, but dramatic down after the 32K. So that seems like opportunity for improvement, and it's good to know, but it's optional.
Yeah, I put it as optional as well. Important trend in terms of more robust measures. David, I got bad news for you. It's going to get worse before it gets better. There's going to be it's going to be the standard wars, I think, for some time, and everybody's going to be generating their own measures to make their own thing look better until there's some rigor. Anyway, Paul, you okay with optional on this?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, optional it is. Next.
All right. And, GPT-4 remains the one to be. Actually read this morning that they are back to the top of the leaderboard on Hugging Face. Claude had been there briefly, and now this kind of latest version that they made a tweak in April, OpenAI, and apparently that has vaulted it back to the top.
There you go. King Claude is no longer king. Very good.
That's right. Okay. So we've got, this was a number of announcements from NTT, but we'll just focus on the announcement of their new AI model, which they claim to beat GPT-4 in performance with, which I find a dubious claim. What do we think of this one?
Yeah, actually, I was going to put all three out there, David, because I think they're not tightly related, but they are related. So NTT is there. It's doing a low latency network using advanced photonics, and they're very good. They're super good at the light pipes and also the displays. So they're basically making the argument: hey, if you can have fast networks, then you can decentralize data centers. And the guy Larry Smarr, who runs Cal IT, well, he's now retired, but he invented Cal IT2, which is a supercomputing lab that does all kinds of stuff in San Diego, but it's a joint venture between UCSD and UC Irvine. And I've seen this technology or previous versions of it in production, and it's amazing. I mean, and the idea that the vital part of being able to decentralize data centers to put them in less costly locations and also on parts of the power grid that are greener, I think is a big deal. So I think that's kind of cool. Then this model that does recognition of text and graphics and so forth. We all know, for those of us in the education and research business, that the LLMs aren't yet at a great place where you can feed them ideas, and they can come up with a fantastic video image, but give me a PowerPoint presentation that has consistent graphics and language. They're not there yet. So I think there's going to be a huge, important new dimension between graphics and consistent language. And David, you know this from your cartoons, right? It's a hard area. And then the last area I thought was really kind of cool, which is they're giving Doe to the Harvard brain sciences studying the physics of the brain. And I think that's going to be, they're starting to say that they can have, by doing inductive looks at neural patterns and fMRIs and MRIs, they are discovering ways that they think will create much more efficient algorithms and LLMs in terms of how to process. So I don't know, I put this as important across all three. It is pretty leading edge. It is, more science-based, but man, those are three huge areas. Data center architecture for the sake of power and cost, graphics interpretation, and then, the physics of the brain. What more do you need on a Friday?
Yeah, and watch out Suburbia. They mentioned specifically being able to put these smaller data centers across Suburbia, and then they would, collectively equal the power of one, and also it would save energy overall.
I had a friend who started to put together a business model on this back when he thought the real demand would be from all the data coming out of cars, which didn't turn out to be the issue, but this might be. And up here in Schaumburg, just in initial casual conversations, by promising to put a data center in Schaumburg, which some of you may know used to be where it's where Motorola was. It's a suburb of Chicago that's starting to go down. And he was able to get $5 million in funding and a free building just in early conversations from the local mayor, because he was so desperate to put, labor back in the middle of Schaumburg. So I think it's a very promising area.
Yeah, I would support important. You are absolutely right. All three areas are very important, but it's still kind of researchy, right? So it's not out there. What really made me think it is important, the two things about the distributing the center, the computing center into the suburbs, and making sure that the latency is lower. So that, I think, will have a dramatic impact on the whole AI field.
Sure.
We're still struggling with latency. Some applications, bots and the like, we have quite a bit of latency, and that has to be removed for the production to happen, for the real applications to happen. So I just think this will have a massive impact, and I think it's important for leaders to know that it's coming.
All righty, we got it important here. All right.
All right, we're being very liberal today, but like you said, it is the weekend coming up, so
It's conservative. It's conservative to make people read.
David, someone needs to do analysis, see if we get more generous as we get to Thursday and Friday. Because I feel like we start the week and everything's optional.
That's right.
That's why my pugs are untrained, because after 5 kids, I ran out of energy. Okay.
All right, final article of the day. We have Snowflake, which has used Mistral to create a co-pilot, which enables the user to make a natural language SQL query. What did we think about this, Paul?
I think this is optional. It's definitely SQL is an important area, but I found this to be optional.
Yeah, I agree.
All righty. Optional it is. Great.
Right.
So you do the review here, David? Do you want?
I do not have that slide, so we're going to have
not
to do
not the slide, but just verbally. So we have. All right. The first we had the Weather Channel. We said was optional, correct?
Correct.
Then we have the European car adoption of Sanctuary AI, optional. Then we have the AI Meta blog on the new model, essential. Then we have the Microsoft working on sound recognition as important, Hugging Face, and their ruler announcement for testing as optional. NTT and its 3 things, especially photonic networking, we put as important. And then we have a nothing burger that Paul serves up at the end of our thing. All right. So yes, we'll do a little analysis to see if we degrade in our our screen. If our screen holes in our filter get bigger by Friday, but looks like an interesting set of stuff to do on the weekend. Any announcements, Paul? Do we have anything for Monday coming up?
We do. On Monday's Learning Lab is going to be Jeff Tratner. He's going to walk through how to use GenAI to transform your job search, improving your resume, improving your LinkedIn, improving your custom cover letters, improving how you prep, having your robot be your interview guide, looking at core competencies, and doing your first 90-day plan. So it's a training course he's been giving for a while, and it's an unbelievable tool for people who are job searching.
Well, there you go. Robots and assistants to get you a job, always a good thing. As my father used to say, change jobs is better than a vacation. So there you go. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Look forward to talking to you on Monday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.